We covered last week how Kari Lake's campaign has been falling far short of expectations, and in the aftermath of the horrendous Arizona abortion law, it could be the final nail in the coffin for her, so much so that she had to run an ad that had an oddly pro-choice tone to it. Well, who would have thought when confronted by a pro-life organization on that kind of flip-floppy nature on abortion rights, she would again immediately flip her position back to pro-life and try to explain it away through a nonsensical word salad. So for context quickly, the law banned abortion completely outside of necessity for the mother's life, with necessity being the key word, and many women getting lost in sort of a gray area of is it necessity, is it not, being left with diseases that could further prevent birth or lead to their death, etc. Well, here's Kari Lake's initial response after this pre-Civil War abortion ban was posed or passed in Arizona.
Such a personal and private issue. I chose life. But I'm not every woman. I want to make sure that every woman who finds herself pregnant has more choices so that she can make that choice that I made. I'll never forget the first time I got pregnant, taking that pregnancy test, looking down, and I was excited, but I'll be honest, I was afraid as well. I was nervous. I was anxious. It's natural for women to be nervous and anxious when they're pregnant. I never would ever assume that any woman had the same exact feelings I had or situation I had. We know that some women are economically in a horrible situation. They might be in an abusive relationship.
So notice how the word choice gets thrown around a lot. Choice being something pro-lifers innately do not want women to have. She says women need choices. She mentions she understands economic issues, abuse, sexual assault, reasons people might not want to have pregnancies. And it seems that she realized how horrendous a look this law was and was attempting to flop despite her supporting the exact same law when she was running as governor. Well, here she is now planting herself firmly back in the pro-life camp when confronted from a pro-life perspective.
Imagine our profound disappointment then when we saw this heroine join the media mob in calling for an immediate fix to Arizona's historic law protecting preborn children. And we would like to know, how would you like to respond to that statement?
Well, I think we all need to realize that our first priority is to save as many babies as possible. And this law passed. The Arizona Supreme Court said this is the law of Arizona, but unfortunately, the people running our state have said we're not going to enforce it. So it's really political theater. We don't have that law as much as many of us wish we did.
And to be clear, she came out directly and vocally against this law multiple times right after it passed, said it doesn't meet the wants of the people of Arizona, but now she's saying, yeah, I spoke against it, but only because it's not being enforced. It should be studied the way that Kari Lake will shamelessly just flop positions to land wherever she feels is most beneficial for her career. She's for this as governor, against it when there's outrage, for it when asked by pro-life people. What's next? It doesn't matter for her. And notice who she gets her playbook from, Donald Trump. All the more reason to believe a national abortion ban will be coming, despite what he's saying now to save face. Clearly for MAGA, it's about whatever is in their best interest.
Now I think the whole country realizes we're being invaded. The people aren't just staying in Arizona, they're going to all of the states. The fentanyl is pouring through Arizona. It's landing in every state. It's killing a young generation. And sadly, many of them are staying in Arizona. I wish that we were sending them back to their homeland, but many street releases are happening right now because there's no room anymore to put these people invading our country up. The people who are staying in hotels, we're giving them food, clothing, housing, jobs that were taken away from American citizens. This is wrong. The American people are paying for this, and the American people are struggling.
She hit all the talking points that just light a fire under my soul, so we had to add this clip in the video as well. Everything she said here is so wildly untrue, and I just hate how easy it's became for these gremlins to say something that sounds good and their base will take them at face value without fact checking them. 86% of fentanyl arrests are US citizens, and just 0.02%, less than 300 of 1.8 million immigrants have ever been encountered with fentanyl at the border. This is whether crossing legally or illegally. We do house and provide food for asylum claims. Seeking asylum is a human right internationally and legally protected in America as well. And All studies on the matter show that we make more revenue from undocumented immigrants than we spend on them. A study in Texas specifically, where there is a pretty good influx of this happening, shows that Texas made $1.21 for every dollar they spent on undocumented immigrants, or in a fiscal year, $2.4 billion made for $2 billion spent. $400 million in profits to go to the social services that these people who are struggling are going to be relying more on. And not only that, but it's a naive way to view the economy through the lens of if an immigrant takes a job, then it's taken from a US born worker. Jobs beget jobs, or a more full workforce provides more consumer spending, more consumer confidence, raising demand, thus providing the need for more jobs. But I also just interviewed the author of this study that I commonly cite that shows immigrants act more often as job creators, business starters, than job takers in terms of being employed. So this narrative is one of the oldest in the book, and even worse than that, it's never been true. If you enjoyed this video, we're Social Society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that can interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or commenting on this video. We even have memberships available as low as $3 if you'd want to support, because the only way we become a society is together.